All right, welcome everybody to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Steve Kiyama. I'm the franchise owner for Action Coach here in Northern Virginia, Fairfax County area, and I'm your host for the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have the pleasure to introduce Robert Keuroglian, the founder, president, and CEO of Centrion Systems, as my guest. So today we're going to talk about Robert's business, his journey into business ownership, the challenges, best practices, and share a peek into what's really like to build and operate a business. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when a new show like this drops. Robert, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here today. So if you would, please give us a little background about who you are. Tell us a little bit about your business.
All right. Well, first, thank you, Stephen, for this opportunity to share some of our experiences in my own personal journey as an entrepreneur and owner. I appreciate it very much. A little bit of background on myself personally. Schooled originally as an accountant and passed all four parts of the CPA at one time, so that was a big achievement. That was early on in my career.
Mm.
Spent some time actually in the public accounting and private accounting arena,
Hmm.
but eventually the technology bug got a hold of me. So I started my first business and ran that successfully, and then went to work for Microsoft. I'll get a little bit more into that later in this interview, I'm sure. But today I am the founder and president, as you mentioned earlier, of Centrion Systems. We are an ERP solution provider focused on delivering financial and operational accounting and software solutions to corporate business, primarily in the area of construction, field services, and distribution. So I like to say, if a company has a ladder on a truck, that's probably our prospect, or could be a customer actually in the Virginia areas. We have several nameplate clients. But I can get a little bit more about our particular niche that we serve as we move forward in the interview.
Fantastic. So for context, let's start with the context of the business itself. Are
Yes.
you solo owner? You have partners? Are there outside investors?
Yeah, very good question. Well, what I mentioned that I had a first company before I joined Microsoft, and that was in the 90s. And I ran that one literally as a sole proprietor. It was incorporated, so I wasn't, a Schedule C company. But I ran that on my own. And today I will tell you that I do run the business as a sole owner.
Hmm.
Um, my roots are as the founder, and
Hmm.
I've got a fantastic set of individuals, consultants and programmers and architects and engineers that help me. And in many cases, I delegate a lot of the authority to them directly because they actually work with the clients on an ongoing basis. But my role is pretty much as the visionary solution architect,
Hmm.
really design the way the software should be developed, the roadmap that the software will provide, and then I turn those ideas over to my team and let them kind of build it out, and then
Hmm.
we usually have some sessions in between to make sure that we're buttoning up the way we should.
Okay, fantastic. You know, when we talk about business, there are so many hats to wear.
Yes.
And when you're early in the game, there's all of the hats. And when you're later in the game, hopefully you've handed some of those hats to some of the other people in the team. Which hats do you wear at this point?
Well, as I mentioned, I wear predominantly the solution visionary hat, but I am intricately involved in project management.
Okay.
As you can imagine, if you spent any time researching ERP solutions,
Hmm.
it's not an easy environment to have a company appreciate the success and the expertise you brought in because of the way other companies operate. And we are
Hmm.
very unique in that we put a lot of effort into understanding our client before we take anything out of the box.
Yeah.
To use an older term, nothing comes
Yeah.
out of the box anymore today,
Yeah. Right.
all in the cloud. But because of that, I stay intricately involved. So I'm not an owner that's you're going to find on the golf course. I'm an owner that you're going to find literally if you've got a project with Centrion Systems, you've got access to the president, you've got access to the founder.
Hmm.
If you something to be done because of a unique area of your business, uh, I will step in and make sure that that gets done correctly.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, now let's get to talk a little bit about what's your niche really? What's your customer base?
Yeah.
Yeah, how would we know? If I was a business owner listening to this, how would I know if I'm the right guy to ought to give you a call?
That is an interesting question, and it's one that I often have with our marketing department as we bring new people in and we have
Hmm.
to onboard them. It's not it's not as simple as saying, "Oh, we deal with dentists. Here's the SIC code or here's the
Hmm.
NAICS code, and just go find every dentist in a 50-mile radius of
Hmm.
Washington, D.C., and that's our prospect base."
Hmm.
I wish it was that simple.
Hmm.
As you can imagine, it's
Yeah.
not.
Hmm.
So to kind of drill down on that a little bit, let me give you a couple examples, right? Now, so I already mentioned, if a company's got a fleet of trucks, that's us. But how do we really define what that really means?
Hmm.
So we really look at that in four quadrants. Now, each of these quadrants, in some cases, may be handled completely. In other words, anyone in that quadrant would be a customer, a potential customer, but in others, maybe not. And here's
Hmm.
why. So, first quadrant would be manufacturers. Now, you probably don't find a lot of manufacturing in DC, but you would in Baltimore or Philadelphia or Richmond or any large city. Um, and in the current environment, we're kind of bringing that manufacturing back here to the United States.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're a manufacturer, you make things,
Hmm.
you build things, and
Hmm.
you distribute those through your sales efforts.
Hmm.
Now, if you make a product and you sell it to a distributor, you probably are not going to service that piece of equipment. You're just going to make it and sell it.
Hmm.
But if you are a manufacturer that makes it, sells it, and then services it, well, that's part of the quadrant we want to talk to
Okay.
because you have a field force that needs to make sure that that equipment you sold and is under warranty, and you have an obligation to your customer that it stays operational. That's who we want to talk to because
Okay.
that is our expertise,
Yep.
maintaining that particular schedule, dispatch, distribution methodology, tracking the equipment and the warranty that's on that equipment. So you'll
Hmm.
find that equipment is going to be a simple thread through all of these quadrants. Now, the next quadrant is where the manufacturer that doesn't service it picks up because they're a dealer distributor. They
Hmm.
don't make it, but they buy it and then they resell it
Hmm.
and they still have to then service it.
Hmm.
You'll find a lot of companies, in fact, we belong to EXA, the Electrical Generator Systems Association, so
Hmm.
perfect example of a dealer distributor. Most of the organizations in EXA, they don't make it, but they
Hmm.
generators, they
Hmm.
buy it, resell it, and they put them into a unique environment like a
Hmm.
data center
Hmm.
or senior assisted living center, so that if the power were to go down, their generators spin up and it keeps the computers running and it keeps the senior assisted living center and the refrigeration of medical uh,
Hmm.
and medicine, at the right temperature.
Hmm.
So a dealer distributor that services equipment, not
Hmm.
every dealer distributor would, right? But we're talking again, usually commercial and industrial equipment,
Hmm.
right? The third quadrant, I think we handle the entire quadrant, not a portion, would be construction. So typical general contractors, subcontractors, home builders, we have solutions that are tailor-made for almost anybody in the construction industry,
Hmm.
um, from takeoff and estimating, through scheduling, through project management, all the way through, the steps of Gantt charts and making sure that everything is being done according
Hmm.
to the time frame and the deliverables that you have mapped out. So anything in the construction environment, you
Hmm.
could definitely see a truck on a ladder in that example,
Hmm.
right? And then the last quadrant would be a field service centric organization. In your home, for example, you have a furnace, you have
Hmm.
air conditioning as examples. When that furnace or that air conditioner, or in an industrial manufacturing environment, you have a machine. That machine goes down, that air conditioner fails. The first thing you're going to do is, well, you're probably going to ask your neighbor or your business colleague, who should I call? But if you already have a relationship, you're going to pick up that phone and you're going to say, hey, my machine is not working, my air conditioner is not cooling, and they're going to come out. Now, they don't make the Carrier or Lennox air conditioner. They didn't sell it to the builder 30 years ago when your home was built. Your home isn't under construction, so we're not dealing in that, but they're a pure service provider and they have very unique needs
Mm-hmm.
because in many cases, the person who arrives to fix that piece of equipment is actually a technical salesperson at the same time. So they're not going to not only fix your equipment, but they're going to start advising, hey, here's what I'm seeing. Here's how I can make sure that, your office is going to stay properly cooled.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, your machine is going to work, longer than what you expect,
Mm-hmm.
and how we can start to track that type of equipment. So again, equipment throughout that whole example is the thread. Uh, while we can service any service company like pest control or roofers, you generally don't have equipment in those examples. So we're really focused specifically on equipment. Although if you've got a truck and a ladder, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Awesome, awesome. When you think about that, what makes you unique? Why would people buy from you specifically?
That is an excellent question, and it's one that many times is answered after a client has made a decision to come aboard with us.
Mm-hmm.
Because before then, uh, our industry is kind of common, right? A lot of
Mm-hmm.
companies that are in our industry, in fact, a lot of companies that might even sell the same solutions
Mm-hmm.
are in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, all offer somewhat of the same services, but what sets us apart is the due diligence that we put in to really understand the company.
Mm-hmm.
So many times, whether I was a channel manager at Microsoft for the technical sales team, or I was the entrepreneur in my first company and having to compete, or in this company watching other organizations, a lot of the software distributors or solution providers focus too heavily on quota.
Mm-hmm.
While that is important to maintain,
Mm-hmm.
what really is going to drive your business is that you have successful implementations and customer referrals.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so we have, it sounds crazy. We have never lost a client. And it's the most encouraging thing to hear 2, 3, 4 years after we've finished our implementation, where our client will say, we had the most stellar year of operations. And if you ask them why, it's because I can now manage the company.
Can see what's going on.
I can actually interpret before events overtake me
Mm-hmm.
to understand where the corrections need to occur. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's really the value that we bring. You get there by taking the time to learn the business and take the considerations of the client in whatever industry they're in truly at heart and deliver the solutions that have that impact 3 and 4 years down the line, which they don't see until they've been with us.
Yeah, yes, yes. I'm going to take from that suggests to me, and maybe this is my paradigm and not the fact, but it suggests to me that the business that is the mechanic, the owner is the mechanic out doing the service. That's probably not your customer yet. He's got to probably grow to some scale before he's ready to be your customer.
I would agree with you. There are many service providers just using that quadrant as an example, where they might have one or two or three or maybe five trucks, but
Hmm.
their mindset is still, I'm going to remake the repair.
Yeah.
Right. And because ERP is a software solution that really drives value um, by the information that's in the database that is only viewable by making sure you unlock the reports and the KPIs, the key performance indicators, don't want to
Hmm.
use a jargon, the key performance indicators, the dashboards where you can look at what's happening in real time. You generally don't find that level of need until you probably are, at least above 5 million, likely above 10 million, and then
Hmm.
sort of hit our sweet spot.
Yeah, that feels now as I'm listening to you, that starts to make a lot of sense. That's
Yeah.
cool, cool, cool. So let's take a little bit of a detour here.
Okay.
What does the future of the business look like in 5 years and 10 years? How far out can you see?
Oh, wow. Well, the future of the business, really in a dynamic environment. We're in flux with technology, right? We've gone through the PC era, then the sneaker net era, then the
Yeah,
networking era, the cloud era,
yeah,
and now we're in the AI and machine learning era. And
yeah,
robotics is scary, but it's here.
yeah.
So when I look, 5 years, 10 years, it's just fascinating what we're going to be able to accomplish. I can
Mm-hmm.
tell you today how we could use some automation and AI and machine learning today, right now,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
gain information, gain visibility into the business and into the world that you're operating within.
Yes.
Take that and say, what is that going to look like 5 or 10 years from now? It's a fascinating opportunity to really deliver on the true opportunity that automation brings to the table.
Yeah, that's a fascinating topic, and there's so many permutations of
Yes.
ways to go at that. Yeah, that's wonderful, wonderful. What do you see as your main challenges moving forward? And we had just been talking about AI.
Yes, and I think the challenge is the just keeping up with technology, right? We are in a very fascinating but changing environment where AI, machine learning, robotics is here, and it's only going to become more commonplace and deeper into an organization. And of course, that has a direct tie into information technology and computers and the amount of information that one needs to possess.
Hmm.
And so that is a main challenge for us. Is now I got a great team that understands that, but we always have to make sure that we know what's coming, and I'll say juxtaposition that with what our current clients require just today to operate their business. As I mentioned earlier, in that earlier segment, a lot of our customers are not bleeding edge type entities. They're not here to embrace the latest and greatest software technology and the shiniest ball. They're here to make sure that their systems give them the adequate financial and operational information to make the business decisions. Today, that is just starting to use AI and machine learning. So if we come in with too much of an emphasis on that, doesn't not going to help the client. So we,
Yeah.
we have to know where we're going, but know where we are at the same time. So
Yeah,
that's
if you,
a
you
challenge.
you don't want to scare them.
Yeah, it's not scaring them. It's just, you don't want to, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
Yeah,
How do you bring
yeah,
in
good way to
technology,
think of it. Yeah,
right? How do you bring
yeah,
in technology? Only what you need when you need it.
yeah.
In fact, that is one of our strengths is that we usually use a phased approach to implementation. I like to say to our clients, you can buy as much software as you want.
Mm-hmm.
No manufacturer is going to say no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Step right up, buy
Mm-hmm.
software. But no,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, we don't need to buy software right away. Let's start with what your requirements are and some of the areas that you need today. And let's grow with the software because predominantly you're coming from a legacy system that probably doesn't have a lot of the capabilities out of the box that the solutions today has. So you might think you need another module or two, where in reality, you probably don't because of the functionality that these modern solutions offer right out of the box. So let's start slow. Let's get it in and get your team acclimated. I like to say the best implementation is user adoption,
Mm.
right? Because if your users aren't using it, you didn't buy
It
anything.
wasn't a successful project.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
And again, you asked earlier about what sets us apart. Well, there is another thread.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Kind of brings back some old memories. I've been through about since the 90s, over those 20 years, I've been through about four different ERP system implementations and a handful of different companies. And I remember that almost in every one of them, the common thread that we all had was trying to force the company's business processes to fit the software, as opposed to getting the software to fit the business process.
That's right.
Yeah, there is a bit of a tug of war there to
There
And
is.
and that is a challenge to get through that. If you've got any scale of business, there's an awful lot of moving parts that you have to work through there.
Yes, there is. And of course, one of the areas is, and again, this is going to probably be a ability to see into our psyche as a business.
Hmm.
Perhaps I don't know if that's the right words to use, but you never come to the table without a solution. That's one thing I've learned, and I stress with my team is that, every implementation has some unique areas that you have to
Hmm.
focus on.
Hmm.
And it's one thing to just listen and learn and say, uh-huh. But
Yeah.
it's another to say, yes, I understood that, and here's how we can accomplish your goals
Awesome.
with this new environment that we're discussing today. And then
Awesome.
deliver that. And that again sets us apart. We're not here just to sell a box of software,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm here to sell a solution
Yes,
and make it a workable solution.
correct.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Just taking from all of this and thinking ahead again, if you started your business again today,
Yes.
what would you do differently?
Oh my goodness. What would I do differently? Well, I'm sure I could probably come up with some things that I would do differently. But I'm in this business to make sure that my clients are successful.
Hmm.
That I wouldn't change. I would still start in the same way. Of course, I had the opportunity to run my first company, learn from some successes that we had, and I brought those successes and examples into Centrion when I started 16 years ago. Um, so I don't know. I don't want to sound that I wouldn't change anything. I'm sure there would be some things, but ultimately the main goal is to provide solutions at a price point that brings economy and value
Mm.
and success.
Hmm.
And we've been successful at doing that. So I probably wouldn't say I wouldn't change much.
Not a big list of things. Good.
Not a big list of things, no.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So let's as we start to wrap up, let's hit some rapid fire questions. So off the top of your head, this is going to be real short kind of
Okay.
thoughts. What's the key to success for you?
The key to being resilient. Okay. Now, this is a rapid fire, so I don't want to get into too much, but I will give you a short story.
Please.
Okay. So in software, you have to make sure that you not only understand the client's requirements, but you can show that you understood those requirements. And usually that's done in a demonstration or a
Mm,
demo, as they like to say. So in this one example, this is resilience at its key. I spent about 3 months building this particular solution. And you can imagine after 3 months of really doing what I would call an implementation, but not really.
mm,
You're just making sure that everything the client needs to do and the order that they need to do it is demonstratable. And so I did this, and I was working for Microsoft at the time, and I met the partner at Union Station in Washington, D.C.
mm,
The final meeting to present this solution to a customer in New York City. So we're on the Amtrak Acela, and as the train begins to pull out of Union Station, and we're in the cafe car. So we got a little table, and my partner is sitting across the table from me. He's got his newspaper and his cup of coffee, and he goes to turn the page, and he tips over his coffee, and I pick up my laptop as fast as I can, but not fast enough.
yeah.
So the computer turns off, and I try to turn it on. Now, literally, we're we're on the train to New York. The train has left the station, literally.
Literally.
So for the next 2.5 hours, as I got cell signal in and out of the train ride to New York, I'm feverishly calling, my headquarters. And I about 2 hours into the trip, I probably in somewhere in New Jersey, I finally got a hold of one of my colleagues in Connecticut. Now, this is 30 days after 9/11,
Hmm.
on the date. So it's October 11th,
Hmm.
2001. And and so they still had some restrictions going into New York City,
Yes.
right? So I'm telling my colleague, hey, my laptop's dead. I've got to present. Oh, do you have an extra, laptop because we all had the same laptops, generally
Hmm.
speaking. And she said, yeah, I think so, but I got to see if I can get another person to ride into me because I can't go solo into New York with the restrictions. And so, we're getting closer to New York, closer to New York. Finally, she calls me back and she says, I got it. I can meet you. Where are you going to be? And so I gave her the address of the client. We got off in New York City. We went to the site. I just walked into some random restaurant on the corner. The guy's cleaning his floor and wiping the tables down, getting ready to open up for lunch. And and I said, I'm sorry, but I can I sit inside? And he goes, sure, no problem. You want a cup of coffee? And I got the phone call that says meet me outside. She literally went around the block. She hands her laptop to me and keeps going. And I take her laptop, pop the hard drive out, put my hard drive in, fire it up. Everything works. I walk up the steps. As I could tell the other software company was coming down the steps. You could tell. And about 3 weeks later, we won the deal. So
Awesome.
being
Awesome.
resilient,
Yeah. Yes. And creative.
and creative. That's right.
Awesome. Awesome.
So
With that background, what is one piece of advice you would give a business owner who is in the early stages today?
be prepared for the unexpected because no matter how much you plan, things are going to go sideways. But if you have thought through what your goals are, then you'll be able to overcome them fairly easily. But you must think them through and be ready for the unexpected. As I mentioned earlier, never go into a meeting without a solution.
Yeah, perfect. And that story that you just told about the train trip is a very awesome example of something that can happen. Yeah, along the way. Fantastic. So, what's a book you are reading now or have read recently that's having impact on your business today?
Well, there's a lot of books that you can go into, do they still have a Barnes and Noble? Today it's Amazon, where you can look up and find a wide selection of business how-to books and how to start a business,
Mm-hmm.
how to sell a business, how to operate a business.
Mm-hmm.
But in my environment, I constantly refer to this one book. So it's not a recent book as far as being published, but it is a very recent book from being read because I constantly read it and reread it, and that is Solution Selling.
Ah,
And if you pick up a copy of Solution Selling, I used to know the authors. Probably I'll send it to you if you'd like me to. Um, that really is the roadmap for understanding a client's business so that you can present back the solution that works for them. And that book has been innumerable to me in terms of understanding how to navigate this crazy world of software development.
yeah, it's not the product we sell, it's the solution that they need and how do we fit that together?
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Yes, awesome, awesome. For fun,
Yes.
if you could wave a wand and significantly improve one area of your business tomorrow, what would it be?
Significantly improve one area of my business. Well, probably, because we do have to have always a pipeline of opportunities. Probably say to strengthen our marketing
Mm-hmm.
approach,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is because technology is again changing. So,
Mm-hmm.
but if I could wave that magic wand and have a more efficient model that takes
Mm-hmm.
advantage of every aspect of, a multi-channel marketing environment, I'd probably would say that because, marketing is the dark arts. So you have to be able to discern what works and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And usually that's, A/B testing, trial and error. And so if I
Mm-hmm.
could wave that magic wand and say, I don't want the trial and error, I just want the solution.
Yes,
But
don't.
but I'll wait for that. I don't know
Yeah,
that come.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a phrase I like to share with my clients, and that's be patient for growth and impatient for profit. And that kind of
Yes.
fits into that same genre.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Yes.
awesome. So let's talk about how can people who want to know more connect with you best?
Well, you can look me up on LinkedIn with my name. My LinkedIn address uses Robert Keuroglian, and so there's not too many people with that name.
Not too many. Good.
So that certainly limits the results that you're going to get. You can always go straight to our website and learn a lot of information about us,
Hmm.
our management style, our solutions, our industry, and that is www.centrian.com. Um, and if you take advantage of either of those, you'll find my email address, so you can always email me. I have an open door policy, open phone policy. We give free advice for companies that are looking for solutions but not re yet ready to maybe pull the
Mm.
and actually engage. So if you're just looking, trying to evaluate, like maybe in a year or two, I might do something. That's fine. Give me a call. We can certainly talk about what's here today and how to maybe structure your organization, get your people ready for maybe a software solution that's coming in the next 1 to 2 years or even further out.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of opportunities to reach out and get some free advice.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, last question.
Yes.
What's most inspiring to you today?
I mentioned that earlier when we started, and that is when I hear my clients say we've had the most successful, profitable year ever.
Yeah.
That happens quite often. I can't say always, but it does happen quite a number of times. And it's because of the ability to use the solutions that we bring into play. So I would say hearing, I don't want to say hearing the praise because I'm not into praise. I'm into results.
Yeah.
But hearing my clients say they had the results that they expected
Awesome.
is what really motivates and drives the whole purpose for being here.
That's fantastic. That's a great inspiration. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
This has been a great conversation. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed hearing your story. This has been a good one. Um, I really like the concept of solution selling. So many people get caught up in product selling, and really, it's not about the product, it's about the outcome. It's about what does the customer experience. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. For everybody watching, save this show, come back to it. There's been a whole bunch of nuggets that have been really worthwhile. And Robert, thank you very much for sharing about your business.
You're welcome. Thank you.